Welcome to episode 154 of Respawn Aim Fire. We did it. We made it to 154.
That's so many episodes.
So many episodes. The Kick-Ass Irreverent podcast from Affable Idiots. I am Holden DePardo, and I'm here with...
Chad Michael Innes. If you point while you say it,
right.
Counts for extra.
And we've got the dreamiest fan base of all time joining us from all over the world right now. They're all over the place. It's like Jesus. They're everywhere, always surrounding us.
Jesus is all around you. I feel it in my toes. Love Actually. You're welcome.
Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, put us in your ears with your favorite podcast service, or put us in your eyes by searching for Respawn Aim Fire on YouTube. That's right. Batman. We've gone into the third dimension with 2D video. And if you want to add the fourth dimension of time, you can do that by watching us record it live on twitch.tv/Affable Idiots. That's a /, but don't use it as a backslash when you go through your website. No one does that.
If you say / one more time, I'm going to put this microphone through my butthole.
I've said / so many times. / every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, like we're doing right now. Today's episode is brought to you by Affable Idiots, which we'll tell you all about later in the episode. That's it for the housekeeping. Chad, how do we start every episode now, besides with your butt?
I had to live up to my word. I had to put the microphone up my butthole. We start with Game Court, the attorney-based strategy for determining game character guilt. Whew. Sorry, I don't read the rest of it. I just needed to take a break. I stood up on the piano bench and then I got back down on the floor. I haven't worked out in 6 weeks. Every week, we put your favorite video game characters and villains on trial. It says on trail there. God damn it. For the heinous crimes
they have to walk a trail of shame to the prison afterwards. That's what it's about. There we go.
Okay. Holden and I will argue for and against the defendant, and it's up to you to prevent forest fires and decide on Twitter in the following days the fate of said character. This week, our defendant is none other than Mara in Dragon Quest IV. But before we get to her crime, let's examine and hear the verdict for last week. Last week, the crime was what?
Yeah, Dixie Kong was being accused of murder-suicide. We had video of her on a roller coaster, and she fell off the roller coaster because she missed a jump. And she was found guilty of murder-suicide.
She was found guilty of manslaughter-suicide.
Manslaughter-suicide,
what you were arguing.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was arguing, yeah.
Man, it was heated on Twitter, especially Dallas. Dallas and Brent were going back and forth. Dallas is in the chat right now posting pictures of dinosaurs. Thank you, Dallas. Those are beautiful. Yeah, it was a close race. I think we had like 63-40, however math works. It was close, though.
Yeah, 63-37, yeah.
I have a feeling that every single one of these we're going to do, people just want to see people die. People just want to see the world burn, and they're just going to be guilty every time.
Yep. It was kind of close with the first one, where it was like basically 50-50 guilty, innocent, but we had two different options for innocent, and it was split there. That was the closest. Every other time, though, it's like off with their heads.
Let's get into this week. We're going to show you the only evidence that we have for this right now is a single Polaroid from an anonymous source who was at the scene of the crime, and it happens to be annotated. So on the screen right now, for those of you listening at home, I'll read it off to you, but on the screen right now, we have the Polaroid, which is an 8-bit depiction of a party of people opening a chest inside of a basement in a town somewhere in Dragon Warrior 4. And the words, finds the dress of radiance. Mara obtains the dress of radiance. That's all we've got. Now, our prosecution this week is Holden DePardo. Our judge and defendant is me. I will keep this all in order. It is up to you as the jury to make sure that we bring whomever it is at fault to justice. All right, we're back. Holden's power went out, came back on. We are back up and running. We're streaming, and we are about to take on this court case. Holden, you're running prosecution on this. The people know what happened. We have the Polaroid. We see the evidence here on twitch.tv/AffableIdiots or youtube.com/a bunch of random characters. You got to search for us.
Yeah,
you are the prosecution. Go.
Well, I had to open a window that I closed accidentally. There we go. All right, so The prosecution is accusing Mara of stealing the Dress of Radiance from Gottside, which is also known as Azimuth. It was captured via a picture taken at a bird's eye view. We are going to charge her, or we want to charge her, with a felony charge of grand theft in the 3rd degree, because the dress that she stole, the Dress of Radiance, cost 6,600 gold, which is well above the $1,000 threshold for felony.
You did a lot of research for this. This is an NES game called Dragon Warrior 4 that I know Holden has zero knowledge of.
The town of Azimuth. This is more of a look at a moral argument that she does not have good character, and that this is probably not the first time that this has happened. And how do I know this? Because Azimuth is actually a very spiritual city, and specifically where the Dress of Radiance is held is the Baron's Folly or the Doorway to Nadiria, which are both holy locations. And she stole the Dress of Radiance.
Objection, Your Honor. Separation of church and state.
I'm not saying. It is not to say that the charges should be more extreme because it was stolen in a spiritual area, just to show that if she stole this in a spiritual place, she has clearly crossed this line several times and will steal again. So, Your Honor, I would like to charge Mara with grand theft in the 3rd degree for stealing the Dress of Radiance.
Thank you, prosecution. You may take your ass and sit in a chair. Defense, you're up. Thank you. Your Honor, people of the jury, would you steal a loaf of bread to feed your family? Would you fault a firefighter for stealing a glass of water to put out the Capitol building? What I'm trying to say here is that dire circumstances cause for certain concessions to be made when it comes to the law. Mara is one of several heroes right now on the way to save the world from a supervillain whose name I forgot because I didn't do any research for this. And in these times, as the monarchy certainly knows, it is a state of emergency as the fate of the entire universe is at stake. And in these times, under the state of emergency, certain restrictions are lifted. For instance, right now, we all know because of coronavirus and the state of emergency, you can park wherever the fuck you want and you can't get a ticket. In this case, our hero is simply taking some necessities to make her job easier. Or just make herself look good while she's doing it, because that dress is radiant, let me tell you. So I argue that because of the special circumstances, the state of emergency, the hero's quest, that this is all forgiven and, in fact, necessary. It's like martial law, where the military's allowed to become the cops and do whatever the fuck they want. And that's what we're arguing right now, because this dress will help us save the universe, and it's worth that. I move a motion for all charges to be dismissed. Thank you. That is all. Thank you, defense. Prosecution, your closing statement.
What the defense says is true. In times of emergency, some things can be forgiven. But this offense is too egregious. This is not a misdemeanor. This is a felony. Is murder considered okay now because of coronavirus? Absolutely not. And nor is stealing a 6,600 gold dress. That is not bread. That is a luxury. I rest my case.
Defense, your closing statement. Thank you, Your Honor. You look great today. You're looking very hot. Thank you. It's not going to help your case, but go on. Thank you. Okay. When a hacker hacks Russia to figure out that they're planning to bomb us, that's illegal and felony activity. But it's okay and sanctioned by the United States government. This is the same thing. That's it. I rest my case. I don't need to argue any further. We all know it's just and right for her to take this dress. Thank you, defense. Both sides, you're dismissed until the jury figures out their verdict, and we'll tune back in next week. If you are listening right now, go to twitter.com/respawn-aim-fire. Our poll will be our pinned tweet. I need you to vote on whether Mara is innocent or guilty of felony. What's the felony she's guilty of? What are we charging her with?
Grand theft in the 3rd degree.
Grand theft in the 3rd degree burn. Thank you. we're going to move on now to our second segment of all podcasts, Playtime.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get this shit off the screen. We don't need to see this screenshot anymore.
No. I was legitimately so confused on the screenshot. I'm like, what is going on here? This is an NES game.
Yeah, because, he's standing, she is standing on the treasure chest, too, so it's hard to even see what the hell is going on.
Maybe the treasure chest was in on it. That's why she's standing on top of it.
It's a mimic.
It's a mimic, exactly.
This is not part of your court case. It's not.
It's not. I'm now just a normal bystander, just speculating on the news that they just saw.
Yeah, until you go try to fucking sway things on Twitter. I've seen you. Holden, what did you play this week?
Of course, I played a lot of Animal Crossing. Way too much Animal Crossing. Yeah, way too much. But I had so much fun doing it.
My phone is just blowing up with messages about apples and turnips, and that's it. I feel like every 45 minutes, what are turnips going for on your island today?
The turnips is a big deal. I made bank on the turnips. I need to thank Dallas for that, actually, because I was setting up a position to lose a lot of money on those turnips. I ended up making 100,000 bells. Boom.
Whoa.
Good shit. Yeah.
Whoa.
Really
if
good shit.
If anyone needs a sugar daddy, go visit Holden's Island. What's your island called?
Kakariko.
Nice.
And I just bought turnips again this morning. My turnips will range between 90 and 110 bells when you first buy them, and mine were priced at 109 bells. So I'm like, shit, like, nope. Like, I just started texting the group, like, who else has a good amount of turnips? Then my brother texted me and let me know that his were 92 bells. So I just ran over to his town. I bought 4,000 turnips for like 368,000 bells, and then I'm set. I'm gonna make so much money this week. I'm pumped.
Proud of you.
But I'm very proud of myself, thank you.
Can you put that on your resume?
Please tell me about this 368,000 bells you made. I'm very intrigued. So I think what I was looking forward to, and actually we need to announce this as well, is the Animal Crossing game night. We did the Animal Crossing game night, and I basically set up musical chairs to play for 25,000 bells to the winner, and then we had like a bug net fighting competition, see who could hit someone with the bug net first. And I made like a little like fence to kind of like have the arena, and then I was sitting in the middle of the arena as the referee. Here's the problem though, is that the lag is horrendous. So I would be like, Dane, you absolutely beat Dallas, and Dallas like, absolutely not. What are you talking about? And then Dallas sent me a video cap of him absolutely beating Dane, undisputedly beating Dane. And I saw something different. So we need to find some different games to work there. Oh, Dallas is... Yes, thank you, Dallas. We need to find some games that are going to work better for the lag in Animal Crossing. Dane came up with the idea of doing... I can't remember the name of the game. It's kind of like hide and seek, but once you're found, everyone has to run back.
This does not make for good content. For you reading the Twitch chat while you're talking does not make for good content.
It doesn't, but I wanted to see what he said. So I guess someone in my town, or in Dallas's town, commented about me making a fortune on turnips. That's really funny.
And you owe him 25,000 bells. That's a lot of bells.
Well, that's a lot of bells, yeah. I do owe him 25,000 bells. You know what? I'll give you 25,000 bells, Dallas. That's actually fair, because technically you did win. And I gave Dane 25,000 bells for when he didn't technically earn. So that's fair. Anyway, I had a total blast with Animal Crossing this week. I think I have a favorite character now, and it's Blathers, who is the owl that runs the museum. I think he is hilarious. Bitch. You hate that bitch.
Here's a big revelation, everyone. I bought Animal Crossing New Horizons. I did it. I bought it. Holden made me do it. He pulled out his card that says you have to play this game this year, and it was Animal Crossing. So I have it.
Champ about it, by the way. I was willing to be like, hey, let's even make it a poll to the community and have them decide, so you're not like forced into playing something you have to. And he's like, nope, I'm doing it. So
I'm not no rule breaker. I'm not no Dixie Kong.
You had it out and you didn't take it. You totally had it out. So
yeah, I've been playing it a little bit too. I'm not going to give my thoughts on it because I want to play a full, like Holden said, it's something you play every day. You got to play it a little bit every day. So I'm going to play it, and I'll give you my full thoughts on it next week after I've had a little bit of time with it. But I've had about 3 days with it so far. And Blathers won't fucking shut up. And all I want to do is give him fossils. And he has to tell me a 90,000 page story about every fossil I want to give him. And just let me give them to you all at once, please, dear God.
Oh, once you get the museum, you will be able to give them to him multiple at a time.
Oh, thank America Ferrera.
Yeah, so that will. I was annoyed by that too. You can say I don't want to hear your little spiel about the fossil of the bug or whatever
it's still
it is.
like that cuts out maybe 5 of the 90 pages of dialogue.
I love those little spiels though. I think they're so funny. Though my favorite one so far is I think it was a Plasiosaurus. I gave him the skull of a Plasiosaurus. He's like, do you want to hear detail? I'm like, yeah, I want to hear detail. And he says, the Plasiosaurus is not exactly the smartest dinosaur in the dinosaur kingdom. It has a pretty thick skull, 10 inches to be exact, which doesn't leave a lot of room for the brain. And he says, but it's okay because at least the brain is really safe. Anywho, thanks for your donation to the museum. I'm like, you're so charming, Blathers. You're awesome. He's a favorite. He has the funniest things, I think he says.
Just blathering on. Blathering on. Get it? That's his name.
That's exactly why they named him that. He talks more than any other Animal Crossing character for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like him. But yeah. I also have to say, we did go to Chad's town for a little bit. You have a good town setup. You have a good house setup. I had this concern that I would go to your island and be like, no, I'm staying in my tent for the whole 7 days. I'm not doing shit. I'm just going to walk around for an hour every day. But no, you cleaned up all your weeds. You had a good setup. You had haystacks for chairs on a campfire on the beach. You had a good setup. You had a good.
You have to sleep by the fire. No one can sit and chat. They have to all sleep and chat because apparently you can't sit on a haystack. You have to sleep on it.
So I'll talk more about Animal Crossing as we go along throughout the week. Or throughout the weeks ahead, I should say. I played very briefly. I played Warzone, and I got with Dallas and Dane first place in Plunder. That was so intense and a total blast. I understand you won in Battle Royale with them as well.
We did. Well, it was Matt and Dallas. Yep.
Yeah, Matt and Dallas.
We got on. We were like, we're going to play 2 games. First game, I don't forget what we got. I don't know, 12th or something. Second game, number 1, baby. Got all the way to the end. We were on the dam, and Dallas went down. Poor guy. He's been wanting that W, and he died right at the last minute. Dallas went down. Matt and I were still there. This guy pops up, starts shooting. Matt downs him. His teammate gets up, starts shooting. I down him. And then it's just us and another team. We're the last 2 teams left. And then it just says, you won. And I'm like, oh. All right, we won! It would have been cooler if we shot the guy to death, but it doesn't matter. We won. Counts as a W. And then the next round, we got second. And Dallas was the only one alive at the end of that one, too. It's just him and one other person. So
that's because Dallas is really good at that game.
Yeah, he's so freaking good. Heard that guy's a big dick, too.
I think Warzone's my favorite Battle Royale. I really, really like Warzone.
I don't play other Battle Royales, but this is fun. If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, hey, do you think you'll... Not 2 weeks ago. It's been several weeks since it's been out. If you would have asked me a month ago, do you think you would ever put 15 hours into a Call of Duty Battle Royale game? I'd be like, fuck you. No, absolutely not. Shit's good, though. It's hard really for me. When I see a text message come to my phone, I'm like, you down a bone? It's hard for me to say no. I do occasionally. Who don't know,
we call Warzone Warbone. That's what that means.
Yeah. It was all due to a typo, but we ran with it, so.
We ran with it. We also played Resident Evil Resistance Beta. And
we did.
The only reason I'm going to actually forget another game. The only reason I'm not going to say it's the worst game I played this week is because I couldn't even play Predator Hunting Grounds, whatever it's called. Couldn't even play it. So I can't even really think to put it in playtime because it literally crashed and wouldn't work. But Resident Evil Resistance is pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you were playing it, Chad, is that it's just so poorly balanced between whoever is the mastermind and the I guess the 4 survivors.
Yeah.
It's way too hard to play as a survivor. The combat's just sucks. It doesn't seem to be accurate in any way, shape, or form. You're surrounded by zombies and Mr. X and dogs and lickers as you're trying to find 3 fucking puzzle pieces at the same time. It's just too chaotic.
And it's in a tiny little hallway, and you can't move.
Yeah.
And And you're also just moving slow, and the combat of Resident Evil 2 and 3 is just not its strong point to begin with. So I had the same experience as you. It was just like, it was complete hell going and trying to do anything in that game.
Well, it's like, I like the combat in Resident Evil 2. I haven't played 3 yet, but it's good because it's slow and methodical, which works for that gameplay style.
Right. It's like, oh, I see 3 zombies. I need to get over there. I can shoot one in the leg and take it down. Maybe I have to kill this one, or I could just run past them. It's like, none of that's an option in this.
No, you have to be aggressive, but the combat system's not really designed for that. And it's a mess. It's a total mess. It's included for free in Resident Evil 3, and I still won't play it. I don't think I'm ever going to touch that, ever.
Yeah, I might try it once in like the final version of the game, but
not worth my
I might
time.
try doing the mastermind. What I'm kind of upset about is that it's not like they have 3 modes of play. Like you can choose to be the mastermind, you can choose to be a survivor, or you can be a team of survivors. But you can't do like the Friday the 13th or the Predator type thing where you just get 5 people together and it's random who gets to be what. Which is kind of bums me out because I would love to like occasionally play misdirect or whatever the mastermind is against all of you guys, but that's not a thing that we can make happen. We just got to rely on chance. But speaking of Friday the 13th, you also brought up Predator Hunting Grounds, which is the next game from them, funded by Sony this time, so they had a lot more money to polish it off, and that was a shit show as well. They had their free weekend of everyone trying this out as a demo weekend. Dallas and I hopped on and we played. We got into one game. We successfully got into one game. We had no idea what to do. It was the 4 of us, and there was one Predator, and there were also enemy AI. And we were like, okay, I guess we shoot the AI people. And then we're like, there's like a contract or something we're supposed to get. And then the Predator started showing up and like destroying people. And I was like, oh shit, there's the Predator. Am I supposed to kill it? So start shooting it, and I'm getting experience every single time I shoot it, but it doesn't seem like it's getting hurt at all. I'm like, well, fuck, maybe I'm not supposed to shoot the Predator. Maybe it's one of those things like you're supposed to hide from it, like Jason in Friday the 13th, because you can't kill Jason in Friday. You just hide and complete your objective.
Yeah.
But I was confused because it was giving me mixed signals. It was like, hey, go girl. Yeah, you shoot it. That's the right thing to do. And then it's like, but also run away! Like, oh, I don't know what to do. So, yeah, we all ended up getting destroyed. The 4th person in our crew was AFK, so he was just standing there, and we were just looking at his screen for a while until the Predator finally found him. And then we couldn't matchmake again. We tried. We were waiting for like 5 minutes to try to matchmake, and then Dallas's pizza came to the door. I'm like, just go eat your pizza. And then we all tried again later that night, you, me, and Matt, and we couldn't find a single person to matchmake with. Yeah,
it was going for 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know. And eventually we're like, oh, it's done. We're not going to make it. I guess we'll go now. And then the screen flashed. You're like, oh, wait, no, it's about to begin. And then it crashed to the main screen.
Yep.
Yeah, so big mess.
Pretty not good. I played one more thing this week.
I'm excited for this. I want to know your thoughts on this.
I played Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which came out 2 weeks ago on Xbox One, and it's on Game Pass as well, if you have Game Pass. It is a first-party game. I played like a few hours of the first one, Ori and the Blind Forest, and I really liked it, but I didn't go back to it for some reason. And I played this one, and it is my favorite game that I will recommend no one buy right now. No one should buy this. No one should play this because it performs. It performs like a garbage trash fire. It is literally like the first 2 hours of this game. I had no issues aside from some visual quirks I'll get into in a little bit. But after about 2 hours, the game started freezing for about 5 to 6 seconds every minute, maybe minute and a half. And it was just like, and for a game that it is a platformer, it is very much a Metroidvania platformer. And when you're making very difficult platforming, like executing jumps and using abilities and things like that, that's not something you want to have happen. It's like midair, you're frozen, and you're like, fuck, when this comes back, I hope I'm holding the right direction and hitting the right button. And that was constant from then through the rest of the game. Restarted the console, re-downloaded the game. And it crashed 5 different times during my time with the game. It took me about 15 hours to beat. And it crashed 5 times, crashed my whole system. And visually, it looked bad. Like there were anything that's not in focus in the game is supposed to have this like really cool painterly, like hand painted look. But for some reason, it all looked like it was like backdrops to a Super Nintendo game that was like super pixelated instead of having like this
Really? Are you playing this on a 1S or 1X?
So I'm playing it on a 1S, and my original thought was, oh, I bet this is just like it upscaling from 1080 on my 4K TV. I'm kind of close to my big 4K TV. I wonder if it's just that, and that's why it looks bad. And then I went back and I just booted up Ori and the Blind Forest again. I was like, no, because this looks great. Ori and the Blind Forest is beautiful. And then I go to Ori and Will of the Wisps. I'm like, this looks like trash. And it's especially evident on a lot of the bigger characters. Like there's a big frog that you interacted with several times throughout the game. And while it's talking to you, it just looks like trash. Like somebody put pixelated, jaggedy anti-aliasing artifacts everywhere. And it was not a good experience. However, the game, when they patch it eventually, God willing, is amazing. I think you would really love this game. They've made a lot of improvements.
The first one.
So the first one, they've made a lot of improvements to over the first one. They have a lot of systems borrowed heavily from Hollow Knight. This game, I would compare it. It's Metroidvania. So you're going and you're finding secrets. You're unlocking abilities that let you go back and unlock something else, and you can go back to a different part of the map you couldn't explore before. It's got the same kind of they have crystals. I can't remember what they call them. Shards. There's shards in this game that unlock different abilities for you. So it's very similar to Hollow Knight in their upgrade system, where you're like, I can have 5 different things equipped right now. One of them makes me run faster. One of them makes me get 2 extra life orbs. One of them makes me take more damage, but I get to do more damage as well. Like, so you can choose how you wanted to go about any particular like battle or any particular platforming sequence. You can customize it that way. So it's very much like Hollow Knight in that. There are lots of really great characters and side quests similar to Hollow Knight as well. That is like the full map to explore. There's even like the map maker borrowed pretty much straight from Hollow Knight. The big difference between this and that, though, is that where Hollow Knight I felt was very risk-reward combat focused, this de-emphasizes combat a ton and is much more skillfully platforming focused. As good a platforming as Guacamelee, which I think is like some of the best platforming in video games.
I still haven't played that game before. I really want to.
You should also play that and number 2 because they're like fantastic A+ games.
And they're on Switch.
And they are on Switch. Yep. Ori and the Blind Forest on Switch. I don't think Will of the Wisps has been announced to come to Switch, but
just the game very itself, well on Switch either. Fix it on Xbox first.
So yeah, there. Almost every single review I read for Will of the Wisps mentioned the very same things. Like they were all like, "This is a really great game," depending the build I just played of it that was riddled with bugs. But there was a day 1 patch coming, so they all had that caveat in the review. But I didn't play it with the day 1 patch. Blah blah blah. I was like, "Cool." I play it 2 weeks after the game comes out, and it's still buggy as shit. They did just announce yesterday that there's a patch coming in April. However, they didn't really mention anything about the like bug fixes a ton. There was one sentence mentioning something about some kind of visual artifacts or something like that, but it doesn't sound like it was what I was experiencing. But there's like some dynamic HUD changes. You can choose to go HUDless as well. But anyway, as soon as that game actually runs well, I think it's a fantastic game. I don't feel like you have to play Ori and the Blind Forest in order to feel caught up and know what's going on in the second one. I watched a video recap at the suggestion of, I think it was Darby. I think Darby said, "Hey, yeah, you can watch a recap, but you don't really have to play the first one." I watched a recap of the first one, and I feel like I didn't even need that. I could have just hopped right into the second one, immediately understood who all these characters were. They have a pretty good kind of introduction to everything. Yeah, it's great, fantastic game. Don't play it until it gets patched, because if that's your experience with this really great game, that's unfortunate.
I will, because Blind Forest, I think, is on Game Pass. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure. Yeah, it's a Microsoft game, so it would have to be, yeah.
Yeah.
I should play it that way. I should do that. I'm all for that. Cool. That's all we played this week?
I think so, yeah. Animal Crossing,
all right.
Warzone, Predator Hunter, God. All right. Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's go to the quest log. Starting off with the fetch quests for the week. Starting off with the Dark Pictures Little Hope release date possibly leaked by a German retailer. This is from Merdad Kayat from DualShockers. And it will
It's
allegedly release
pronounced
in June.
Kiat. I'm so funny.
It will allegedly will release in June, which would make sense because they said they wanted to release 2 of these per year and like the Dark Pictures anthology series, and the last one came out in August, so June would be a little bit later than I would have expected, but looking forward to it.
Is that new? I felt like we got, maybe it was just summer. It was the last thing we got on that, and maybe this is narrowed down in June.
But this is also just a leak. This isn't official, but it would make sense. Warframe is confirmed for PS5 and Xbox Series X, so for all those fans of that game, look forward to that.
All right. That was a PS4 like launch game that carried over as well.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
They were like, we will be the very first game on PS4. I'm like, you do that. Right next to Knack.
This next one's awesome. So there's a leaked Star Wars 1313 image that appears to back up rumors of it being a Boba Fett game from Ricky Fretch at DualShockers. Holy shit. Oh, by the way, the last story Warframe one, that was from IGN staff at IGN. I'm like, oh, there must be a mistake. Let me go to the article and see who wrote it. IGN staff. Did the whole staff get together and write that article about Warframe coming to Xbox Series?
You know what it probably was?
X
it was
PS5?
probably just like they got a press release and they just copied and pasted and like, well, no one really wrote anything on this. Just put staff on it.
Anyway, the Star Wars 1313 image leak. That looks awesome. It's basically Boba Fett standing
like kind of small image, like
Coruscant.
from far away. It kind of looks like Daredevil.
Oh yeah, he does look like
because
Daredevil.
of the way the light's reflecting off the bottom of his helmet. I was like, oh my god, it's Daredevil in 1313.
I'm using the large image now. It's really cool because you get like this view of Coruscant, but you realize it's the underground portion of Coruscant. Kind of off in the distance, there's that big hole that probably leads up to the main city, and I think that's what they showed in the Star Wars 1313 like gameplay trailer that I showed at E3 a while ago. It looks like the same hole they were kind of descending into. God, the game will never come out at this point.
Yeah,
but
it's a shame we'll never get it.
We'll never get it. Yeah. Speaking of getting it,
speaking of Coruscant, can we talk about how good Pillsbury crescent rolls are? Oh God, those buttery, flaky crusts.
PlayStation Access accidentally leaks PS Plus games for April 2020, which includes Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Thank you, Jordan Biazzo at Game Ranks. It's also going to have Dirt Rally 2.0. This is essentially a confirmation. PlayStation Access is like Nintendo Power. It's a part of Sony.
Gotcha.
This is not like some fan site. This is basically from the horse's mouth.
I believe now, if you've been a PlayStation Plus member for a little while, I believe you now officially have the entire Uncharted series free through that.
Yep.
Because the collection was last year. I'm pretty sure Legacy's been on it. Now it's just 4.
No, I don't think Legacy has been.
I think it has. I think so. I don't know.
I've been on PlayStation Plus since 2016, and the game came out after that. I don't think it has been, or maybe my PS Plus lapsed for a little while and I didn't renew it. I don't know.
Huh.
Moving on. GameStop set to close 300 more stores this year, from Jordan Oloman on IGN. Excuse me. This is 300 of the 5,500 stores within the United States. They did say, though, that this is not because of COVID. They claim that COVID has actually increased their sales by 2%. 2% of just essentialness. 2%. So essential.
This kind of relates to something we'll talk about a little bit later, but like because everyone's here, everyone's at home, they're playing video games a lot more. So yeah, they're actually seeing an uptick in sales.
Yeah.
But they were already planning to close 300 stores apparently, despite all of that.
Speaking of coronavirus, here are some next-gen impacts, some good vibrations from coronavirus, and some other vibrations that aren't so great. So next-gen impacts. Sony and Microsoft put out a vague statement about how COVID-19 will affect their games from Ethan Gack at Kotaku. So both Sony and Microsoft have stated that there's so many names in video game industry that I have a hard time pronouncing. So many.
Who? Like who?
Ethan Gack. Is it Gack? Gatch? Gack? I don't know.
We have to figure out his country of origin.
That's a good point. We'll find out eventually.
If it's German, it's Gach. If it's Slovakian, it's Gatch. That's what Slovakians thought. Hey, my name is Ethan Gatch.
Both Sony and Microsoft have stated that none of their upcoming games will be impacted by coronavirus within the current fiscal year, although they are also open to the possibility of delays if anything gets worse. At that moment, they were not speaking of the next-gen consoles, but as this develops, GameStop says no indication of PS5 or Xbox Series X delays. That's coming from Brendan Sinclair at GamesIndustry.biz. They also reasoned the uncertainty of coronavirus going forward has led them to not disclose future quarter estimates, which I thought was interesting. So GameStop won't be saying, hey, like, we think we're going to make X amount of money next quarter. They said, we're not going to do that because we just don't know how things are going to play out, which actually is probably a good move. Yeah.
Probably
every
not
company should be doing that.
I 100% agree. Like, these financial reports every quarter, I think they should just be like, you know what? You guys know as much as we do. Fuck it.
They're always estimates anyway. They're never a guarantee.
Right.
Microsoft says it can still make Xbox Series X despite coronavirus concerns. That's from Kyle Orland at Ars Technica. He sourced a CNBC interview with the Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella. So that's a pretty solid confirmation there that Microsoft is not worried about a delay. What about Sony? Well, PS5, no delay.
Sorry, on that last thing, one thing that Nutella, that Nadella said. One thing that Nadella said was that manufacturing in China is back up and running.
Yeah.
So in that interview, he's like, the manufacturing is not an issue. Like, that's back up and running. We're going to see that just fine. What we're really looking at is like how things progress. Is there demand for these consoles? That's the thing. Like, if it gets delayed, it'll be because we don't think people are ready to buy it yet because they're still financially hurting from coronavirus and being out of work and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And PlayStation basically said the same thing. PS5, no delay because of COVID-19, says Sony. That's from Joe Scribbles at IGN. And last week we had a PR agency that is affiliated with Sony, but not a part of Sony, saying the same thing. But now this is coming from Sony directly, from a spokesperson from them. So it's a nice confirmation to have. I think people are going to buy these consoles because it's kind of predicted that it'll get better in the summer. And then when fall comes around, we're going to see a spike in coronavirus again. And people are going to probably be locked in their homes again, and they're going to want new video game consoles to entertain them. So
one thing that I don't think a lot of people understand is that, like, when this quarantine is lifted in a few weeks or months or however long it lasts, it's not going to be like, all right, the quarantine is lifted because we beat it. We eradicated every case of coronavirus. No, as soon as it's lifted, it's still here. People are still going to get it, which is just going to be more controlled. So, there's still going to be a concern for this throughout the entire year of 2020 and beyond.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good vibrations now. So here's the good stuff that's happened. CD Projekt Red donates almost $1 million to fight coronavirus, also from Jordan Oloman at IGN. So this is the money's coming from CD Projekt Red, their board members, and also shareholders. And they'll be assisting, essentially, stopping the spread of coronavirus in Poland specifically. So that's good of them.
Yeah.
Another one, I should skip the next one. Something kind of similar we're seeing too is Nintendo donates thousands of respirator masks to fire and rescue teams in the United States, from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. A few companies have been doing that as well, as donating fire masks or donating something in some capacity. And that's good to see. And I think it's partially because these companies also have a vested interest in this getting alleviated. So it's like looking out for them, looking out for the communities. But it's nice to see that there's some collaboration happening there. This next one is interesting. I'm not a NASCAR fan by any means. My dad's side of the family was very into NASCAR for a while, so I've been
my
exposed.
Whole family is hell yeah NASCAR. That's badass.
Oh, let me just say, going to a race is the most boring thing.
God,
ever.
right?
Yeah, 500 laps of just like, all right, they're taking a left turn again and again and again. Anyway,
and then you got to sit there while they go.
I think this is. Yep.
It's like the loudest thing on the planet.
At first you're like, this is kind of cool, and then you're like, this has been going on for 4 hours.
And then someone gets in a wreck and maybe dies, and everyone's like, yeah!
No one does that.
They do. When people get in a wreck, everyone's like, fuck yeah, Tony Stewart took out so-and-so. I can't freaking... That's really offensive for me to generalize like that. But no, my whole family is fans. I've been to a lot of races. When people get in wrecks, that is like the most exciting thing at a NASCAR race.
Let's talk about something good they've done. We just sit on NASCAR a lot. So NASCAR will continue holding virtual races after a successful first showing, from Eric Van Allen at US Gamer. I think that's actually kind of cool. Like, if you're a fan of NASCAR, maybe you're not watching like a live race with real drivers in real cars, but it's kind of cool they're trying to do something to keep their community engaged while all this is happening. Like, wouldn't it be kind of funny if like NBA players were playing NBA 2K?
That is a thing.
Or so. Is this what they're doing right now? Oh, okay. I didn't even notice that.
I included that in Instapaper like a few weeks ago, but you cut it. But yeah, a few weeks ago, when all this first happened and the NBA first went under, it broke NBA 2K, I think it was. It was one of the big NBA games. It broke the game because it relied on live stats for all the players, and then the season was canceled, and the game, when you tried to load it, was like, yeah. And then there was one team that's like, hey, we were scheduled to play so-and-so next week, so we're just going to play it on NBA 2K, and we're going to stream it on Twitch. And then a lot of other teams started doing it. So it is a thing, yeah. They're playing the season.
Well, that's cool to see happen. I take back what I said about NBA. I don't know shit. Why do you listen to me? I don't know anything. I know nothing at all. Other vibrations. I put other because like this isn't. Some of these are bad. Some of these aren't great. The Tapai game show is canceled outright due to coronavirus from Brianna Reeves at PlayStation Lifestyle. So that's just not happening anymore.
It was delayed and now it's not canceled. So
yeah, it was supposed to happen now it's canceled. Yeah, February, it was. I pushed back to the summer. Yeah, it was in March, in which there was supposed to be new footage of Elden Ring there, so I'm a little bummed about that.
Oh.
But it could have just been the same trailer they showed before, but it was going to have a presence. Nintendo repair services closed in North America, and no reopening date has been announced from Jenny Latta at Silicon Era. The next 3 stories, by the way, are all Jenny Latta at Silicon Era, and I didn't even notice it until I was writing it out. Okay, so little note on this one, personally speaking. I got Joy-Con drift this week. I was playing Animal Crossing. My character started moving around.
That means you don't even have to control your character. It does half the work for you.
It does half the work for me. And it was really, really frustrating. And I kind of thought, like, I could send these out to get repaired, or let me just get some Joy-Cons right now so I don't have to wait like a few weeks to like get Joy-Cons back and all other stuff. I don't know where my gray ones are anyway. And then I ended up getting the purple and orange ones.
Oh, hell yeah. That's badass.
And I kind of like it. I'm kind of a fan of that. So I got that. And then the next day they said, repair services closed. I'm like, well, I would have had to buy them anyway, so I don't feel bad for being impatient. Speaking of Animal Crossing New Horizon updates could be hit by the pandemic. This is also from Jenny Latta at Silicon Era. This is not a certainty. They're just saying it might happen. So we'll see what happens there. And then Square Enix confirms Final Fantasy VII Remake physical copy delays. This one, the digital copies are going to be fine. It's just the physical copies, and only physical copies that didn't get ordered directly from Square, it seems like. I think they're like collector's editions and all that. Those are going to be coming out just in time. So
it's like the Amazon is prioritizing like essential things, so they're not shipping non-essential items right away. So that's what they're saying. It's like, hey, if you order it from us, we can ship it. But if you order it from someone else that we don't have control over and they're only doing essential things, you're probably not going to get it day one.
Yeah. And I always close off the coronavirus update with the Johns Hopkins totals on number of cases. And
should we rename it to the New York virus?
Holy shit, man. This is like last week. It usually been up going up by like about 100,000 each week the past few weeks. It was at 330,000 last time I mentioned the stat. Now it's at 721,000. So it is escalating. It is definitely growing. So stay safe out there.
Stay home.
Use lots of hand sanitizer.
If your city for some reason has not implemented a shelter in place, do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, I heard this tip. I think this is a good tip. If you have to go out, when you come back, throw your clothes in the dryer immediately because it will kill any germs that are on them.
I mean, unless there's, like, if you spilled spaghetti sauce on it, don't throw it in the dryer. It's going to set the stain. You're never going to be able to
wash your clothes.
Yeah, wash them for sure. And also, if you have, like, really bad BO, don't just dry that in there. It's just going to smell forever. Wash it first.
All right. That's everything for the Fetch Quest and coronavirus updates. Moving on to the Microsoft quest log.
Yeah!
This isn't actually specifically about Microsoft, but the headlines usually have Microsoft in it. Xbox Series X graphics source code reportedly stolen and is being held for $100 million ransom from Jordan Oloman at IGN. So this is actually really affecting AMD. AMD made the public aware of a ransom message they got from a hacker who demanded $100 million for the source code, specifically of AMD's Navi and Arden GPUs. So despite the headline, again, this is not targeted specifically at Xbox. It actually might impact Sony as well because they also use AMD graphics cards, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if it's those specific two, but
yeah. Well, I think they
has
have the
been
Navi
rumored for Xbox, or has been confirmed. I don't know.
I don't know. But Navi, I'm pretty sure Merck's already confirmed they're using a Navi GPU. So the GitHub has been taking down portions of the code that was posted to their site, and AMD made a statement. AMD has made it clear that the stolen data is not core to the competitiveness or security of our graphics products. I think someone pointed out that this is most likely going to impact like DRM and unlocking games for DRM and things like that.
Gotcha. Because I read the article. I quote unquote read the article. I'm millennial read the article, so I skimmed it, looked for a couple of words that I was interested in. Which is more than what most millennials do. We usually just read the headlines. But I was going to ask you, is like, what does this really do? I mean, like, so it was testing, apparently tests of these things that they ran as the source code. Like, what impact does that have? What is it? What are they holding ransom? What can they do with that information? Is it just industry secrets and the competitors are interested in it so they can figure out how to, like, GeForce cards make them better? I don't know.
That's what I was thinking, but then AMD's statement of like this is not core data to the competitiveness or security of our graphics card makes you think like there's no secrets in it. And my guess here is that it's very possible that just like the hacker was good enough to get the information, but not good enough to know what he actually got and doesn't know what its value actually is. It doesn't really seem like AMD is super concerned about it. It's not like this can be used to like for a while ago, a few years ago. This was not like publicized at all, which is kind of scary to me. But there was this like vulnerability discovered in Windows 10 that would effectively let anyone just hack into any Windows computer they had physical access to. Like, and it was very hard to patch because it was baked into the kernel of the OS. Like really, really bad vulnerability. That was bad because you could just get control of the person's computer and do whatever you wanted with it. This wouldn't impact anything like that because it's only access to the graphics card and it's not going to access any personal data. It's true. So I'm not thinking this is actually going to be a huge deal. Yeah, all the Bitcoins that you're mining with your Xbox Series X graphics card. So interesting story, but I don't think it's like gonna blow up and cause like people's Xboxes to explode because Russian hackers got to it and they're fighting against Microsoft. Yeah, quite honestly,
I think they're reaching with that headline and causing some panic. IGN. You're blowing that out of proportion.
Speaking of panic, I'm panicking about this next story.
Oh, Panic at the Disco. Beat Saber pack. Played that a lot this week. Just kidding, not a lot, like 2 hours.
That's not a lot of time for you in Beat Saber. You usually do way more than that.
You're right.
At least 24 hours a day, at least.
It's all right. I bled out my pelvis a lot because of it, so I won't play it again for a little bit.
That's not an exaggeration.
That's real life, and it's also a great endorsement for Beat Saber. Put that on the quote. I'll put that on the box. Beat Saber. I bled out my pelvis a lot from playing it.
So we went on the Sony Quest log. It's all right. Let's settle this right now. I always say Konami, but it's not Konami.
It's Konami. There's a 1-0.
Konami. Okay.
Konami has two O's.
I always think of Toonami, yeah. Konami rejects recent Silent Hill rumors. This is a statement to the site Rely on Horror. It said, we're aware of all the rumors and reports, but can confirm that they are not true. I know it's not the answer your fans may want to hear, ... It's not to say we are completely closing the door on the franchise, just not in the way it is being reported.
Just as a recap, there were 2 apparent Silent Hill games in development. One of them was Silent Hills, and then one of them was a new reboot of the franchise, Silent Hill. And there was a separate but related rumor that they were maybe being bought by Sony, or they were in talks with Sony, and Sony was being a mediator for Kojima and Konami. But anyway, so it turns out, yeah, that's probably not true, as Konami says, or maybe they're just lying to cover their ass. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I was thinking like, oh, are they just saying this because they don't want anyone to know about it? So it's kind of like we don't comment on rumor and speculation kind of thing. Right. But they blatantly just said it's not true. But then there's the part of we're not closing the door on the franchise, just not in the way it's being reported. So it doesn't say they're not working on a Silent Hills game, but it sounds like the kind of the PT inspired Kojima project that we all really want is not what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's still upsetting.
But pachinko machine.
Oh, I want to sell this pachinko machine so bad. I'm just kidding. I don't want that. Related story, PT Hacker makes another terrifying discovery about what Lisa is up to when you're locked in the bathroom. I thought this was just cool. There's a video of this guy basically doing like a boundary break and kind of showing you what you're not able to see through your perspective in the game. And there's two things it shows. If you remember in PT, there's the point where you walk down the hall. that one time you walked down the hall.
That one time, yeah.
That one time.
Wait, which hallway was it? There were a lot of different hallways.
And the window falls down. And then if you look up, you can see Sarah looking down at you from the balcony. And then she kind of like walks away. But what's actually happening is she's not walking her way. Her body's literally contorting backwards to make it look like from your perspective she's walking away.
Kind of almost like Limbo-esque, like this demonic limbo.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool because it's like the illusion of how these games are made. Like, they could have animated it so she's taking a step back, but that would have been harder. And they have a limited amount of time. So they're just going to have her like contort back because the player's not going to see that anyway. And it's going to look exactly like we want it to. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of cool to see that kind of stuff. But the next one is like the opposite of that. So this is when you are in the bathroom, the door is locked, and you hear Sarah walking down the hall. And I never noticed this until the video played, but you kind of hear like a step and like a different sounding step. Sarah's wearing
almost
a
sounds
high
like a
heel.
peg leg of a pirate. Like,
yeah. She's wearing one high heel. The other foot is bare. So it kind of makes her stand in a funny way. I never noticed that until this video played it out. But anyway, they animated her completely like walking down the hall. It's actually a pretty solid animation they could have just left in the game. The only thing that wasn't solid is Sarah gets to the door and you can hear the doorknob turning, but her hand's not actually grabbing the doorknob.
Yeah, she just freezes there, and then it's like, cool, now the door is going to animate, because you don't need to see her playing with the door. That's going to be a lot harder to have her interact with objects.
Yeah.
For no reason.
It was still very cool. It's cool to see that kind of... I enjoy that kind of stuff. It's funny.
And it's also cool that, like, however many years we are now removed from PT, that people are still, like, finding new cool shit in it.
2014, by the way. It came out in 2014.
What?
Yeah.
6 years ago?
I know.
I think I might go back and play through that again.
Do you have it downloaded still?
Yeah.
Nice. So lucky. I watched a video of it the other night, and goddamn, that game is scary. Like, really scary.
It's spoopy AF.
Very spoopy. All right, this is an interesting one right here. God of War no longer contains, quote, only on PlayStation label on the official web page from Logan Moore at DualShockers. Prior PS4 exclusives, Detroit, Death Stranding, and Horizon also had the label removed upon their PC port announcements. At the moment, this is not officially confirmed, but it is interesting.
It so happened that other PC ports had the same thing happen. Yeah, that's interesting. I think we were talking about Horizon makes sense because Death Stranding and it used both the Decima engine, so it makes sense that'd be the next thing they put on PC. But I didn't necessarily see this as an indication of like all the PlayStation exclusives coming to PC.
And they even said this doesn't mean everything's coming over.
Exactly, yeah. God, I bet that game is going to look so frickin' good on a PC.
Oh, yeah. It also is a great game to demonstrate the PS4 to PC players who don't have a PlayStation yet. Good choice.
You know what, though?
Good choice.
I mean, I know you have controller support on a PC, but I feel like throwing and recalling the Leviathan axe is not going to feel as good with a keyboard and mouse.
I don't know. It might.
Part of it was the haptics that you get from the vibrations from the DualShock 4 whenever it lands in your hand, almost Captain America Endgame style.
This is something I just became aware of pretty recently, is that because it was on the Sekiro subreddit, and they were talking about how they play, and everyone's like, no, I play on controller on PC. I would never play Sekiro with a keyboard and mouse. And I'm like, I guess keyboard and mouse is only really used on PC for like first-person perspective games, but I guess third-person perspective games work better with a controller. So PC players kind of go back and forth. I didn't even really consider that. I just kind of figured, you're on PC, you play mouse and keyboard for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, this is not really related. Have you seen the videos of people playing Doom on PC, and they can like switch weapons super fast, which allows them to do like these crazy combos you just can't do on console?
No.
It's insane to watch. I'm pretty sure.
Wait, just make sure we're talking about like the original Doom, right?
Doom Eternal.
Oh, gotcha. Whew. I'm just kidding. I knew we were talking about that one.
Andy Cortez from Kind of Funny. I think he retweeted one, and my mind was blown. It was someone fighting a Marauder without ever getting hit or anything because they just beat him in 10 seconds.
Fucking hate those Marauders. God, I want to find out. I want to call up Brent. What if we call Brent right now? No, I'm not going to do that. But I'm really interested in what he found the last half of the game, like how he liked it compared to what I said about it last week.
Nintendo Quest log time. We only got one story here. This is a good one. So, wow, Animal Crossing New Horizons sales are through the roof from Tom Phillips at Eurogamer. So, New Horizons.
Hope you built a roof for them to go through. Oh, get it? I'm so funny.
New Horizons had the best launch of any Nintendo Switch game if Pokemon Sword and Shield are considered separate games. I'll say they're the same game. People, they're both the same game. So it doesn't. I don't think that counts. I'm willing to say it's the second best selling, but that's still really impressive. Good for them. It sold more at launch than the launches of all prior Animal Crossing games combined. I'm sure a lot of that has to deal with coronavirus, but I do think a lot of it is just interest in Animal Crossing in Europe. And I forgot to put this in the notes here. No, it is the next thing we're talking about. It sold triple the total of Doom Eternal in terms of physical sales. So I feel like if it was just coronavirus, we would have seen an equal increase in both games. But to have triple over Doom Eternal is really surprising, especially when Animal Crossing is only on one system. The additional caveat there, though, is that Doom Eternal is really big on PC, and PC is digital only, and all these stats I'm talking about are only related to physical sales.
Yep. And we all know, with everything closing down, digital probably has a much bigger chunk of the pie this month than it ever has.
Absolutely.
So while this is fantastic for Animal Crossing, it's really cool that physically it just outsold all the rest of them combined. That's super cool.
Yeah.
But who knows how accurate those numbers are, and it could be so much more, it could be so much less. Obviously not less.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was so much. It sold 2 copies.
I returned a physical copy digitally, so.
I will say this about Animal Crossing and how it's doing against Doom sales wise. Maybe it's just the community that we're in, but I have seen way, way more Animal Crossing content on Twitter than Doom. And that might be our bubble, but I was really surprised by that. I fully expected to be Doom is, killing it in sales. It's the number one. And people and some people are really enjoying Animal Crossing. It's kind of what I was expecting.
I think it's just because everyone's really stressed out and anxious, and they're I just need something to chill out and go on an island and fucking chop down a cherry tree.
Wait, does Doom not help with anxiety? It doesn't calm you down?
No. Fucking Marauders, man. Fucking Marauders map.
Going to Doom, third-party quest log here. Bethesda claims Doom Eternal had series best opening weekend yet from Alex Kelvin at PC Gamer. So like Animal Crossing, there were no specific numbers that were provided. However, the high concurrent player count over launch weekend reached over 100,000 players.
Damn. Is that Steam, I assume? Steam concurrent?
Yeah, Steam. Yep. So good for them. I'm very much on board for playing some Doom this week now that I've kind of really sunk my teeth into Animal Crossing for the past week. I'm excited again to Doom now. So looking forward to that. This next story, I think, might be the biggest story of the whole week. And that is that Epic Games starts their own publishing service. This is brought to us by Dennis Patrick at GameRanks. So the Epic Games publishing will start with 3 highly praised developers. We have Design, who did The Last Guardian most recently. We have Playdead, who did Inside.
Gen Design. The studio name is Gen Design.
Playdead Inside, and then Remedy Entertainment, who made Control. So that's 3 really top tier developers. Each developer will partner with Epic for at least one game, and then after that, Epic will reevaluate the situation. This is a quote: Epic can cover 100% of the development costs from salaries to other expenses that came up to make the video game. Additionally, the developer will receive a 50% cut of the profit from the video game itself, which is huge.
Right, because normally if you sell on the Epic store, it's a 70-30 split, which is already huge compared to Steam. But to know that hey, we published your game and we're going to give you half the profits, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think I don't. We'll talk about. I don't know. Developers will also keep 100% of the intellectual property and creative control. This is also a huge thing. This is a quote from Tim Sweeney, who's the CEO of Epic Games. He says, "We're building the publishing model we always wanted for ourselves when we worked with publishers."
That's awesome. They go from making Fortnite ripping off PUBG, making a multiplayer battle royale mode of it, becoming the most popular thing on the planet. They're like, cool, I think we should open up a store. And then they just, one after another, like, not only are we going to open a store, but we're going to give developers a lot of money. And not only are we going to give developers a lot of money, anyone who, like, makes trees and shit, we're going to let them get paid a lot of money for their shit, too. Oh, yeah, and now we're also just going to fund shit because we have the money and we want to be the good in the world. That's awesome.
It's really nice because they're in a position where they totally could have been like, no, we're going to publish games and we're going to stick with the standard publishing deal because that's what the industry standard is. And Epic just seems to be doing good things with their money in terms of, hey, how can we have all this money now? How can we make our industry better? And that's really, really awesome to see.
Now, maybe, I don't know, adding a shopping cart to your app might help, but that's
they don't have the money for that. They're giving it to other developers. Just giving it all away. On that note, though, of Playdead working with Epic Games, they have a little video of their next game as a little tease. Did you watch it?
Yeah. That's like it looks like maybe a level straight out of Limbo, but in 2020. But it's just that still, not a still. It looks like a still, but you can see the fog moving, and it's like a little like a Mars rover almost, maybe.
Mm-hmm. There also seems to be like a person who's incredibly small on there, which is interesting because usually in Limbo and in Inside the character is very prominent on the screen.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering, do they just pan out and show us the whole landscape, or are you going to have a different perspective in this game?
Maybe it's a rover for ants.
It needs to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
You're exactly right.
I can't wait for Playdead's next game. Inside was an absolute masterpiece. Great stuff.
It'll be a while since
Speaking of masterpiece, a lot of people are saying very good things about Half-Life Alyx.
Whew.
So Half-Life Alyx reaches 43,000 concurrent users on launch day. This is from Hayden Taylor at GamesIndustry.biz. That compares to the Twitch stream views, which peaked at 300,000.
Now I know what you're saying. That's not a lot. I mean, Doom Eternal did over 100,000 concurrents. Like, there are not that many non-PSVR headsets in the wild for VR right now.
Yeah.
43,000 is a significant percentage of everything that's out there. I think it's like even less than 1 million, or maybe it's like 1.2 million total non-PlayStation headsets out there.
And that's going to grow. I think this is going to turn into that game where, you buy a VR headset, you get Beat Saber, and you get Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be very much like that. Like after the Switch, like the few months after the Switch's initial launch, people got the Switch and they had to get Breath of the Wild.
Yep, that was like the game you had to get. Kart, and then you save up for Odyssey in the fall.
Yeah, this is going to be a mandatory VR game. I want to play VR so bad. I want to play this game so bad. I've been watching video clips of it, and it just looks incredible. It looks so good.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of video reviews and things like that, and I'm just like, God, I really don't want to get a PC. I don't have a lot of use for a PC, let alone paying because if I buy the PC, then I'm gonna buy the Steam. What's the Valve
Index.
Valve Index. I'm gonna buy the Valve Index because I don't want. I watched an IGN comparison of like, this is how it plays on all the different headsets. I'm like, they were like, it plays pretty bad on Oculus Quest hooked up with a link cable. I was like, okay. So if I buy it, then I'm gonna buy the $1,000 VR headset to go with it. And like, for one game?
With the finger tracking, you can literally play the piano in there.
I know, right?
It's really kind of cool. I'm itching to play it. I haven't really heard a bad review for the game yet. Have you? It seems like it's been
the only bad one that I've heard is I was listening to Kind of Funny Games Daily, and Greg read a excerpt from a review. It's like, this is the best VR game that came at the worst time because I don't want to be in this headset right now. I don't want to be in this world with all this anxiety and all this shit going on. It's like, while I'm also in the real world dealing with all this anxiety and all this shit going on. And he gave it like a 7 out of 10 or something like that. That's the only bad thing I've ever heard about it. Everything else is like, oh my God, this is going to blow everyone's minds, and it makes virtual reality so justified and all this kind of stuff. So,
based on that review, it sounds kind of like it was too good for not what I wanted it to be, basically.
Well, so to be honest, that's me in one haphazard sentence saying what someone else summarized from another review. So you should really go read this stranger's review that I'm not making up out of thin air, but that you don't have access to.
You just made it up. Kind of Funny Games Daily doesn't even exist. It's not even a real show.
Oh
Not
my
even
God.
real.
So like
Yeah,
people.
I predicted at the beginning of the year for my kind of 2020 predictions that Half-Life Alyx would be the first VR game nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards. And after seeing all these 10 out of 10s, I'm like, yeah, I think that's a likely thing to
think so,
happen.
too.
And I'm really glad because VR needs that. VR needs to have that game. It's like, no. There are incredible games on VR now. My only concern is not about Half-Life Alyx at all. It's just that Valve can put in the money to do those kinds of things in VR. And is this a standard we can expect from other VR games? Probably not. But
We'll see.
it's a start.
The only
and
thing
that's
I
good.
can think of is like a Sony first-party VR game. Like
Yeah.
we can throw enough money at this to make it, and probably PSVR 2 because it's going to be a better quality
Yeah.
headset. So
That's the thing too. Is this will have to come to PS5 with PSVR.
yeah,
If they want to make more money on this game,
to.
it has
God,
to.
I need it, and I need them both to come right now.
Remember that rumor that the PSVR is going to come out this year as well as the PS5? Maybe it's going to happen, Chad, even though it's totally unlikely. Maybe it's going to happen.
Where's that Wired article about PSVR 2?
So do you want to take us through this ad?
Yeah,
read?
before we go to our main quest about the Nintendo Direct that happened this week, we want to tell you about Affable Idiots, which is the new brand under which our products and podcasts fall. Like this, Respawn Aim Fire, and this, AAWY, and also With You, which is a podcast where we do all sorts of fun stuff and play games and have a good chat. Today we talked about... we did a game about sex toys and Wi-Fi networks, and we we talked about whether or not we would be good drug dealers. It's a ton of fun. But we need your support. The very first thing that I would love for you guys to do is go to YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching it right now, just like, you see that right down below, just hit it, boop, subscribe. And then if you don't want to get notifications, there's a way to turn that off. That's totally fine. But go to all three of them. All three links are in the description of the podcast, of the YouTube video. Go and subscribe. We need that so we can get the customized, personalized URL. And then you can also just rate us on whatever podcast service you're listening to. You can give our video a little like. There's a little thumb button there. And I'll tell you what, if for every thumbs up you give, I'll put a thumb up my butt. That's not real. I won't do that. But please, give us a little thumbs up. Leave us a little message on those podcast services.
Chad's now a cam girl.
Oh my God, I got 8 thumbs up. I got to call a lot of friends. Social distancing. Finally, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/respawn-aim-fire. You can go over there. You can play along with us on game nights. You can get that big old W in Warzone. You can influence what we play for Barf. This month's Barf is Yoshi's Island. All you patrons voted. We are playing Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Break out your many different ways you can play that game. Played along with us in April. We also just wrapped up BioShock Infinite and Burial at Sea DLC. You can go here. I'm pointing. There's nothing where my finger's pointing, but just go search for it. It's our BioShock Infinite review discussion. We had Matt from Rhode Island on it. It was fun and great. That's all I have to say. Hold on. Let's talk about our main quest.
Yeah, so main quest, what Nintendo's Direct Mini means for 2020. So we're going to go through and just talk about the Direct itself and then kind of share our thoughts on how this might frame Nintendo's 2020 going forward.
It was a surprise, too. Just woke up one morning and it was just like, I didn't even know until later that evening. I stumbled across the video. I was like, what? There's a fucking Direct today? What?
I was at work and my brother texted me and he's like, yeah, the Direct wasn't really anything special. I'm like, what are you talking about? What Direct? I had no idea. It was funny because the day before, someone, Dreamcast guy, who's a YouTuber on Twitter, he said, I guess we're going to hear about that Nintendo Direct that's coming out tomorrow. It should be an announcement by noon. And then all the comments were like, yeah, buddy, by noon, like, shows you know something. And then the next day the Direct ended up happening, which is kind of funny. So yeah, the Direct happened. It was a Direct Mini, which is a good clarification there. It was not like it
was still like 20 minutes, though.
Yeah, it was almost a half hour, and it still had some pretty big announcements in there, I would say. Not like Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 level announcement, but they had some stuff in there that was cool. ARM's character is going to be showing up in Smash Bros. Now as a DLC character. That's
not now, but in the future.
About time. Yeah, in the future. We don't know which one it is, but they'll show up at some point.
And they also made sure to say, by the way, this is going to take a while. So
yeah,
if you're itching to play an ARMS character, go play ARMS in the free demo that they announced recently as well. In that same Direct.
Game's good. That game is good. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is coming out May 29th. There's going to be an epilogue called Future Connected. I don't think I'm going to buy that because I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it was, for me, it was fine.
Yeah.
But I have heard this is a really good JRPG.
Yeah, people love it.
The BioShock Collection, Borderlands Legendary Collection, and XCOM 2 are all coming May 29th as well.
Hell yeah, for my sister's birthday.
That's pretty cool.
That's
Bravely
awesome.
Default.
Yeah, you can take BioShock on the go with you on your Switch in a non-broken, awful iOS version no longer exists. And then Borderlands. You get Borderlands 1, 2, and pre-sequel and all the DLC and shit like that. That's it should have been there a long time ago, but I'm really stoked that Switch players get to play that now.
Yeah.
No platinum trophies, though, so.
Nope. Bravely Default 2 demo is now available. I downloaded it. I'm going to play that at some point this week. So looking forward to that. Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass information. So they focused on the Isle of Armor, which is the first DLC pack that's coming out by the end of June, is how they put it. So not too far from now. You're going to get a Pokemon called a Cubfu, which is basically a bear cub who is good at karate. That's why his name is Cubfu. Do you get it?
He's good at Kung Fu.
He's good at Kung Fu.
Not
Just like Keanu
karate.
Reeves says he knows Kung Fu. Because in The Matrix he says that. And it's true. He does know Kung Fu. In the game, Kung Fu will either help you out in the Tower of Darkness or the Tower of Waters. Now, those are not tied to like Sword or Shield exclusively. You just, in the game, you will decide what tower you want to go to. And once you beat that tower, a few things are going to happen. One, Kung Fu will evolve into a Urshifu. And then the Urshifu will get either one or two moves, depending on which tower you completed. The single strike style of attack or the rapid strike style of attack, depending if you go to the Tower of Darkness or the Tower of Water, respectively. And then players will also get their starter Pokemon. The starter Pokemon, whichever one they get, will gain the Gigantamax version. And then they'll get the special G-Max move correlated with that. Yeah, looks fine. I'm excited for it. I already bought it, so I'm going to play it. It looks like it's more Pokemon.
I'll finish Sword eventually one day, and then maybe I'll play this too. Cubfu looks cute. I almost don't want to evolve him.
Now for the greatest announcement of all time. Animal Crossing Bunny Day is running from April 1st to April 12th. Zipper the Bunny will task you with finding hidden eggs, which can be used to craft special Bunny Day items. Earth Day events will also be coming later in April. That bunny looks really cute, but in all seriousness, I none of those Easter items look appealing to me at all. I'm not going to have like an Easter egg
fucking
arc,
egg arch
like in my
across
town.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna put that in my town.
I think it's cool that they're like supporting this with the event. Like they're showing that like not only are we going to have a game that is really popular and has a lot of cool improvements, but it's like it's going to be ongoing. There are going to be events happening right after launch, basically. That's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Star Wars Episode 1 Racers coming to Switch in 2020. Also, Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics.
You can't just gloss over Pod Racer. You can't just say Episode 1 Racers coming, blah, blah, blah. Hell no! We're getting N64 Pod Racer coming to the Switch in 2020, Holden. You're getting that game, and it's going to be a game night game.
Is that my game I have to play this year? You played it all across
the
I've decided, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer?
Yep, and we're going to buy it, and we're going to figure out, man, this was actually horrible. I remember it so fondly, though.
Burnout Paradise Remastered is coming later in 2020. I always wanted to play that game. It looked like a bunch of fun. I don't know if I'll buy it, but it looked like it was fun back when it originally came out.
Buy it now for like PS4 or Xbox for like pennies.
Yeah, I know, but whenever I find a game's going to Switch, I'd rather play it on Switch. Catherine Full Body is arriving July 7th. So after those Independence Day celebrations, just get up and Catherine.
Get up and
solve those puzzles.
Do your adultery and...
Panzer Dragoon remake is now available on Switch, as is Shinsakai Into the Depths. And then there's also an update to Ring Fit
Shinsakai Into the Depths.
Shinsakai. Ring Fit Adventure is also getting an update. There is a rhythm mode in the game, which is going to feature tracks from Odyssey's.
I was very aroused by that.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah, being able to see the like fucking Beat Saber's my jam, and be able to combine that with like actual like quote unquote fitness.
Yeah,
like, yeah. If I had Ring Fit, if you could find Ring Fit Adventure, great game. If you could get it. Speaking of, did you continue? Are you still using that? Or you just shelved it?
I need to get back in the habit. I liked it a lot. I just need to get back in the habit. It's more about me getting back in the habit of exercising. That's really more what it's about. I need to do that because I did like it. I really did like it a lot. There's also going to be a female voice present in the game as well.
And a lot of different languages.
Yep.
So many languages.
Good Job is now available on Switch. I think Good Job looks awesome. This is a game by Nintendo, and it's essentially you are working at some sort of level of a different corporation where it's like one's you're going to be a janitor, one you have to like bring the projector from like one side for an office meeting to the other side of the office building for an office meeting, and it looks like it's going to be wacky fun. I'm actually excited to play. It's like a $20 game. That looks cool. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the Black Order Expansion Pass 3. It's going to have the Fantastic Four Shadow. It's a very long title. Fantastic Four Shadow of Doom is the name of it. It's now available. There are going to be the Fantastic Four heroes, which there are 4 of them, and they are fantastic. And then Doctor Doom will be playable. King Bounties 2 is coming later in 2020. And then lastly, Ninjala is coming in May. And that's a free-to-play 8-player ninja melee combat game that involves bubblegum.
Oh.
That's the main mechanic.
Great.
It actually looks like it could be kind of fun. It kind of reminds me... It reminded me a little bit of Splatoon when I was watching it. Yeah. So what did we think of that direct and all that information that I just bored you all with?
I think, here's my takeaways from it. 1, there are a lot of really great things that should have been on Switch a long time ago that are finally coming to Switch, and I'm so happy. You got Borderlands, you got
like
BioShock, you got Pod Racer. Should have been there a long time ago. I think it's cool that Panzer Dragoon is like an exclusive right off the bat for Switch. I like that they revealed that they like gave us a tease like, hey, ARMS is coming to Smash. A lot of stuff that like should have been there is there. What it also tells me is that we are not going to see Nintendo support on Switch for a while. There are, aside from the Animal Crossing event and the Pokemon expansion, nothing else here was first party, and they're relying a ton on third party support for the next few months, it looks like. So if you were looking forward to some, like, I don't know, Metroid Prime collection maybe in the next few months or some announcement like that, it doesn't look like that's going to be happening until this fall at the earliest. So hopefully we hear something cool about first party in the near future, but now it's not that.
I have some good news for you. So I noticed that it was called a Direct Mini, and I'm like, hey, why Direct Mini? Because it's been a while since we've really gotten like a major Direct like this. Going back, I looked at all the Directs and the chronology of them when they all came out, and we've actually gotten a few this year, but it's like Animal Crossing, centered on Animal Crossing. We haven't gotten like the Direct in a while where it's like, hey, here's a showcase of a bunch of new stuff we want to show off. Last time we got that was in like September. So it's been about 6-ish months since we last got that. I kind of was like, this is all like, this isn't bad stuff necessarily, but for 6 months of a wait, why wasn't there more? Like, why didn't we find out what's happening later on in 2020? I'm sure they have to have something. Well, they've only done one Direct Mini in the Switch era. In the Wii U era, a Direct Mini was followed by a mainline Direct within a few weeks every time. So I'm thinking that it's 6-month wait. They had to get some stuff to kind of be separate from the really huge stuff that they're going to announce in a few weeks. And I really, really still think that Breath of the Wild 2 is happening this year.
I think you're batshit crazy if you can look back at Nintendo history and try to predict whatever the fuck they're going to do next. I think Nintendo is a crazy-ass machine that does whatever it wants, whenever it wants. And I think more so now than ever, it's unpredictable.
I totally hear what you're saying. I think it's interesting they called it a Direct Mini, though. Why not just call it a Direct? And I think it's because they know they have something else in store.
Well, it's because the Switch Lite.
Have done that in the past.
They called it a Mini now because you can watch it on your Switch Lite instead of your regular Switch.
Absolutely. So let me read a story for you guys, and then I'm going to relate it to this Nintendo Direct. So, rumor, leaker shares new info about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. This comes from Liam Doolin, Nintendo Life. There is a Twitch streamer, his name is Tyler McVicker, and he leaked information about Half-Life Alyx before its unveiling. And he nailed it, like VR, everything. This is what he said. It's a little long, but it's worth it. Unlike the first part, the game will be linear at the beginning. Canonically, Link already knows Hyrule, so there is no point in climbing the towers again. Instead, the developers have filled the world with a miasmac?
Miasmic.
Miasmic. There we go. Thank you.
Miasmic.
Miasmic version of Ganon. And until the infection is cleared from location to location, it will be impossible to move around the entire Hyrule. In this regard, the locations are worked out much deeper than in the original, at the very least to make Victor hints at the appearance of dungeons, strongly inspired by one game that knows a lot about spreading dungeons around the open world. In general, while designing the world of Breath of the Wild 2, the developers were inspired by Red Dead Redemption 2, officially known and other unknown games. So,
do we know what that's hinting at when it says the hints at the appearance of dungeons strongly inspired by one game that knows a lot about spreading dungeons across? Do we know what game they're talking about?
I have no idea what they're talking about there. I don't know. But what I do know is that Red Dead Redemption 2, with their chapter system, doesn't necessarily block off the rest of the open world, but it kind of keeps things focused in one portion of the open world, and then you kind of move into other portions of the world. And Red Dead Redemption 1 kind of worked that way. And I think what they're kind of getting at is that where Breath of the Wild was like open instantly and immediately, you're going to have it where, like in Twilight Princess, they had the Twilight was kind of taking over certain parts of the town, certain parts of the land. So you go to like that part of the land. Actually, maybe that's what they're referring to. You go to that part of the land, kind of figure out what's going on there, save that part of the world, do a dungeon, and then you go to like another province in the Twilight Princess version of Hyrule. And they're going to make it a little more linear in that way. If they're doing it that way, and they're already working off the same world they had before, and it's already been, let's just hypothetically just say, for the sake of argument, it is coming out fall 2020. Would have been 3.5 years at that point. It's totally feasible. This is totally feasible. And I was watching a video from a YouTuber named Arlo, who's really funny, by the way. He literally looks like a Muppet, and no one knows what he looks like. He literally has it looks like a Cookie Monster is like the character he presents himself as he's talking in his videos. It's kind of funny. But anyway, he was kind of going on about how in the trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 they showed off, that wasn't like a tease where it's like Metroid Prime 4 logo and now in development. It was hey, let us show you something that's clearly a very specific tease and very specific story elements that we already know about, but you won't really know until you play the game, and then say it's in development. They showed a lot more of the game and hinted at what that world could be. They clearly have a clear vision of what Breath of the Wild 2 is. And I imagine that their hesitance to say, 2020 back then was that Breath of the Wild was delayed from 2015 to 2016 to 2017, and they didn't want to say anything yet. But if there's really not that much that they have to talk about for the end of the year, and they maybe only have one game, like what else are they going to talk about? Pikmin? Like, we know that's going to be coming sometime soon. Like,
give us Pikmin, damn it!
It just makes so much sense to me. And I feel like there's another direct that's not that far away, and it's going to have the trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 and give it its official name, and then it'll be like a 3-minute trailer for the game. And then at E3, they're going to do the big blowout. And I wouldn't be surprised if E3 this year from Nintendo is very much just focused on this next Zelda game. They have had 2 E3s in the past few years that have been heavily focused on one game. Breath of the Wild in 2016, the E3 in 2016 was all Breath of the Wild based. And they had a little bit of Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, but I mean, come on, it was all Breath of the Wild. And then in E3 2018, it had more to talk about than they did in 2016 in terms of a diversity of games, but it was totally backloaded for like 25 minutes out of the 40-minute presentation of Smash Bros.
Right.
And setting up Smash Bros. At the end of the year.
Every character. This is how you do a forward smash. This is how, like, yeah, we know. Thank you.
Exactly. And that was really their only major game they were going to be talking about. So I feel like that's a similar thing we're going to see this year with Breath of the Wild. In a few weeks, we're going to get another direct that's going to show us some of the things that we've kind of rumored, like maybe like a Paper Mario thing coming or something like that. Like kind of some of the first party stuff that we didn't see in this direct. There's really nothing first party in this outside of that Good Job game, which is technically first party, and Animal Crossing update and Pokemon. But like Pokemon usually isn't in major directs anyway. Sword and Shield is kind of the exception.
Right.
They did a little update on Animal Crossing. Yeah, but they kind of had to do this Animal Crossing update right now because that is going to be in a few days. It used to be the Bunny Day updates. They kind of had to do it, then they couldn't have held it off for the next direct anyway. I'm thinking we're getting another direct pretty soon. Then like a few weeks.
Do you think I keep forgetting that despite E3 not physically happening, we're having E3 in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna see E3 Nintendo presentation in 8 weeks. Do you think we're still gonna get something between now and then? That being so close?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's gonna have a major Breath of the Wild announcement, and that's
why I think that. That's why I think that. Well, because I don't think that the timing wise, like Breath of the Wild is a monumental game. They want that to be something they have a narrative going for before E3, so that there's already the scuttlebutt of, oh, I can't wait for Nintendo to talk more about Breath of the Wild 2 at E3. Like, it's kind of like this self-generating like hype machine that the Nintendo just says, like, just lets it run. Basically, they don't have to do anything. They just say, hey, like, here's the trailer, and then it's highly suggested they'll talk more about that game at E3. So it kind of builds hype on its own going into E3, which then makes it easier for them to dominate the conversation at E3 with Breath of the Wild 2, because there's the hype coming in, and they're probably very confident they're going to stick the landing on it because it's Nintendo. They're pretty confident like that. So yeah, I think that is totally a possibility.
interesting.
Yeah. And it's mostly because the release cadence of those directs. I literally wrote down the date for every single direct mini, and then how many days it was after that a direct, like a full-on direct came out. And there were some times where it was like only 6 days. There was one time where it was a single day.
If we get 3 directs in 3 weeks, Holden, I'm going to put 9 thumbs up my butt.
Oh, no, but like here's the thing.
Because
like,
we had the indie direct last week.
Yeah, that still wouldn't be that crazy. Let me go back to like one that was in like 2012. It was let me find it.
They've been doing directs since 2012?
Yeah, they've been doing directs since 2012. So they had a mini direct on September 28th, 2012. And then they had another mini direct on October 2nd, 2012, another mini direct on October 3rd, 2012, and then the direct was on October 4th, 2012.
Oh my God.
So they've definitely like packed in announcements like that before. I'd say the big and the ultimate caveat to all this is we have a new president who might do things a little bit differently. But it's still the same people like who.
You're not talking about Donald Trump president. You're talking about Nintendo president.
Yes, talking about Furukawa. Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump, who knows? Maybe he's working for Nintendo now. Anything's possible. Coronavirus is this crazy thing that's just changing the world.
Yes, it is.
So I'm not like 100%
I hope you're right, because I want
happen.
more news of things before 8 weeks, obviously, and then I want more news at 8 weeks, and then I just want to hear things perpetually, forever, for all time.
I also I'm not still 100% convinced, but I do think it's in the realm of possibilities. And of course, I want it to happen because I'm very curious about what Zelda is, and I'm ready to get hyped for the next Zelda game. I actually really don't feel that much hype for Breath of the Wild 2 yet. I'm just really not like, obviously I'm going to get it. I know I'm going to get it, but I don't really know what to expect. All I know is that it's in the same world that I've already spent 300 hours in. So you need to convince me why I need to go to that world again, and then I'll be really hyped about it. So we'll see what happens.
We will. But until we see what happens, we're going to play Game on Game Show. The game on our gaming show where we game and we play game. God damn it, I mess it up. God, Michael, damn it. This week we are playing another round of Quiz Me Captain. It's me, Margaret. Holden, this is the traditional game. Traditional. It's an old Amish game where we ask you questions and you shout out answers in a timed format. I've got 4 rounds for you again this week, obviously, because that's how the fucking game goes. I'm going to be completely transparent. I'm borrowing this from an unused one that we were going to do with Steven Dutzman, but that episode went on like almost 3 hours. And I'm pretty sure we haven't done this yet. But if we get to the first question, like, no, we've already done this, let me know. We'll do the because there were 2 of them that I had because it was going to be a 2-player one, and I know I've done one of them. I don't think I've done this one.
Okay.
But here's how it works. 4 rounds. There's a time limit on each round. You have to answer correctly. If you do all 4 rounds and pass, you get an extra special prize. Are you ready for the first round?
I am ready.
You have 30 seconds to successfully complete this prompt of Quiz Me Margaret. No, Quiz Me Captain, it's me, Margaret. Round 1, 30 seconds, starts. Now, name 6 N64 games.
Oh, Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, GoldenEye.
Boom, nailed it. Whew, you did that in 11 seconds. Proud of you.
Boom.
Woo, round 1 done. Round 2 coming up. You have 60 seconds for round 2. You have 3 prompts this time. You have to get through all 3 of them in 60 seconds. Are you ready, Holden, for round 2?
I am ready.
Quiz me, Captain. It's me, Margaret. Round 2 starts now. Name 3 Capcom franchises that aren't fighting games.
Okay, you have Resident Evil.
1.
Oh, this is actually way harder than I thought. Monster Hunter.
2.
Monster Hunter is Capcom. And then... I can't remember the fighting games now. Give me the next prompt.
Nope, you have to get this prompt.
No, I can't do it. Damn it. Shit, what's another Capcom game?
You're now at 30 seconds.
This. I'm just going to let the time pass because I literally don't know any. Like, we might as well move on. So there's something interesting instead of
Think
me
about,
just like, I don't know what I'm talking
Capcom
about.
mascots, like NES era.
I can't think of NES
Blue
era.
Bomber.
I don't know anything
Blue Bomber.
Oh, Mega Man is Capcom?
Yes, that's 3. Second one, you have 12 seconds. Name 8 Pokemon games that don't have a color or gemstone in the title.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red,
1,
Pokemon
2.
Mystery Dungeon Blue.
Wait, no, those both have colors in the title.
Oh, they have colors. Fuck, I was thinking gemstones.
It doesn't matter, time's up.
Pokemon Coliseum. Okay, Pokemon Coliseum. I got 1. Pokemon Snap, 2.
You do not get the extra special prize this week, but you will move on to the next 2 rounds.
Oh, that Capcom one got me hardcore.
I know. There's the psychology of it. It's like, don't think about an elephant. And then suddenly everyone's like, oh, fuck, I'm thinking about an elephant.
Yep.
So you got to say.
You totally got me.
Name 3 things that aren't fighting games. You're like, fuck, Street Fighter.
Exactly. I was thinking Street Fighter. I'm like, Maverick versus. Damn it. That's a fighting game, too.
All right. Round 3. This one's shorter. It's 20 seconds for this prompt. Are you ready? Quiz me, Captain. It's me, Margaret.
See.
Time starts now. Convince me that achievements on Xbox are worth getting.
It gives you an incentive to try things in the game that you might not have done otherwise. So if you see maybe use this item to kill a certain number of enemies. Hey, maybe I want to use that item to kill a certain number of enemies. I used to use the pistol, but I'll use a shotgun. That convincing you, huh? Right.
No, that didn't do it. I'm sorry.
Didn't do it? All right. That's so subjective. You're an asshole.
Speaking of subjective, final round, round 4. You have 30 seconds total. I will present you with a pair of items, and you have to choose the correct one. There is no criteria for correctness other than my own judgment. You have to get 4 correct answers in 30 seconds. Are you ready?
Yes.
Quiz me, Captain. It's me, Margaret. Final round, 30 seconds, starts now. Project Gotham Racing or Gotham City?
Gotham City.
No, racing, bitch! Kazooie or Yoshi?
Kazooie.
No, Yoshi's a dinosaur. That's awesome. Troy Baker or Nolan North?
Nolan North.
Hell yeah, that's badass. Horizon Zero Dawn or Breath of the Wild?
Horizon Zero Dawn for you.
Yep,
absolutely.
that's number 2. New Coral Switch Lite, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, good answer. Holden, are you still using that typewriter you bought? That's a free point.
No. I left it in Chicago. It was not worth packing and moving.
The correct answer was that's a free point. You get a free point. So you did get all 4 in 30 seconds. I forgot I wrote that. Oh, God. I'm
That's
so
really funny. I love that typewriter, but it was too heavy to put in the big Tupperware containers. It was going to get fucked up in shipping. So I just left it. I don't know what Katie and Gus did with it. They probably threw it out.
That's
probably my guess. Yeah.
Oh, that makes me giggle. You did not, unfortunately, get the super special prize, so we'll have to save that for the next time we play that game. That's it for Game on Game Show, and that is it for our podcast this evening. Thank you, everyone who watched live on Twitch. There were quite a handful of you. In fact, it actually counts as a handful if somebody has an extra finger. Thank you for everyone listening around the world. Again, go to YouTube, subscribe to all of our shit. It's in the thing. It's in the description. Go and like us on all of our shit. Play Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2 on SNES, on SNES Classic, on SNES Online Entertainment System, Switch, Nintendo Online Service. Play it. And then go to patreon.com/respawn-aim-fire. Tell us what we're going to play in May. That's it for this week. And until next time, here's our usual sign-off. Kadoodaloo-daloo. Kadoodaloo-daloo. Oh, I gotta get better at prepping this slide to go to the video afterwards. Bye, guys. So easy.